hope you're all doing well. This is going to be a quick little lesson on pointillism. This is for a child about a 5th grade level, and by the end of it, you should be able to define what is pointillism and where did it come from, and also how to use pointillism to create art using a variety of materials. So what is pointillism? Pointillism is a painting technique where you're using only small dots or dashes in a pattern to create an image. It was developed by an artist named George Stuart in 1883. It is based off of Impressionism, but is called Neo-Impressionism because they are focused more on the optical illusions of color theory. They do this by, instead of mixing the pigments and then applying them to an image, they are using small dots of unmixed color, laying them next to each other, and then your eye naturally mixes them optically when viewed from afar. So, using purple as an example, instead of mixing a purple using red and blue paint, you would lay a dot of red next to a dot of blue, and your eye will see it as purple when you view it from a distance. So now for a little demo. I'm going to be showing you a variety of mark making techniques to help you create an image using dots and dashes. There are many different kinds of marks you can make with just markers and paint, which I'm going to be showing you. For this one, I'm just using a regular Sharpie. You can also use Crayola markers or any kind of marker that you have on hand. Also for the paint, I'm just going to be using some regular store-bought acrylic paint and then some little household items to help create dots. Alright, so the first kind of dot you're gonna make is the one I showed you, just some small little practice dots with the Sharpie, just using the very tip. The little dots are very useful again if you're getting a lot of detail and getting really precise work. And then you can also create these larger dots. And like with cross-hatching, how you get value with the dots is the closer together and the more dots you make, the darker the value. And then when you want to make a lighter value with using only dots, you do them farther away and less dots. And that is going to be true for all the media. So any kind of marker, the more dots, and the closer together, the darker the value, and then the less dots, the farther apart, the lighter the value. Alright, so now I'm going to switch to some color dots. I'm going to show you a little bit about blending colors. So you're always going to want to start with the lightest color first. It's kind of hard to see here, but I'm just using a yellow and a light little dots. And you want to start out relatively dense with your dots and then move to where they're farther apart so you have room for the other color. And now for the orange. And you just kind of want to sprinkle them in with the yellow and it starts to kind of blend out a little bit. And then I'm going to blend it into red. Same thing, leave some room so you can kind of blend those in with the orange dots and then go straight to only the red dots. Alright, there we go. That's kind of how you blend some colors. And remember, lightest to darkest because you can always make something darker, but it's hard to make things lighter. Alright, now for paint. With paint, I'm just using some, like I said, regular acrylic paint. And you can use a variety of tools to make your marks. So you can use the back of a paintbrush. Just dip that in a little bit of paint. And you can make some nice dots. With paint, you are going to have to dip often. But you can get some kind of different value dots along with them. Another tool you can use is a Q-tip and dip that in paint. And I'll get you some nice dots. I personally like the Q-tip. I think it gets some really interesting forms and it holds the paint really well when you're trying to do a lot of dots. One more thing you can use is just like a wooden skewer. You can dip that in paint. And one of the last tools I want to show you is you can also use straws. So you can use the end of just like a paper straw and you can get some kind of cool little dots on there. Now I would always practice making your dots before you start on an actual image. So kind of figure out what kind of dots you want to use, bigger ones or smaller ones, and then practice them so you know how to create values and then maybe how to blend them together. Now when you're ready for an image, the first thing I would do was sketch out the image. As you can see here, I sketched out my image of my cat just slightly with pencil, and then I've started going in with just some little black dots and started building up the value. See, I use dots that are really close together and it looks a lot darker. And then when I want it more spaced out, I would just use some farther apart. And how I would build up the color, I was just layering the colors on top of each other. So I used some yellow dots in the eye and then some green ones. You can also achieve a green by layering blue over the yellow and you'll get some nice optical green going on. You can layer these little tiny marks over bigger dots and it'll get you an interesting texture. Alright, so that's it. Have fun. There we go. Now we should know what pointillism is, where it came from, and how to use it in a couple different medias. A few last things. I am not the end-all be-all of pointillism. There's always more information out there and tons of different techniques and methods to use pointillism in artwork. So check them out, and as always, be creative and have fun with your artwork. So have a great day and goodbye.